and welcome back to another episode of the Dig Deep with Dragonfly podcast. Today I'm really excited about my guest because it is my very own dad. We are best friends. We're pretty much the same person, so I'm really excited about this. He played in college himself and is now parenting myself and my brother and all my other siblings. So he has a lot of good things to say as far as athletics go. Dad, introduce yourself a little bit. Tell the people who you are.
So my name's Mike Cerniglia, and long story short is I was a communications major at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and truly communications was my thing. And before Jada took over Jada Media, I actually had a spot called Mike on the Mic and produced stuff like this well before podcasts were around. We had to do hard tape type of stuff and video and VHS, but I'm excited to circle back around and help her with this podcast and Dragonfly.
That's so cool. Today we're going to be kind of talking about parenting after playing. I think you're going to have a lot of good things to say about that. So first question is, what was your own college athlete experience like? What sport did you play and where?
Yeah, so I'll backtrack a little bit and start with I played hockey at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And but before that, played high school sports, football, hockey, and baseball. Hockey was my best one. And part of your college experience truly starts in high school because that's usually when you're recruited out of. And being one of the best athletes in the entire state at that time, having an opportunity to play at Wisconsin was a dream come true. And so we'll get into it a little bit later about how Jada and our son Michael Jr. having the opportunities to be a Badger is pretty special. But what you find out pretty quickly is that for every opportunity there's difficulty. And when you're the best of the best in high school, but then you go to college, you start to figure out that maybe I'm not the best athlete out there, and you have to start figuring out what's your transferable skills, what is your role on the team to be able to help. And yes, you do play every once in a while, but playing every game wasn't my play to life when I was in college. I actually didn't play every game. So I had to figure out how I could add value, and that was probably the hardest lesson to learn, but also what lends me today to be successful because I did learn skills on how to be a team.
Yeah, that's good, Dad.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Do you think athletes today face more pressure or just kind of a different pressure?
I would say they face the same pressure, right? The pressure to perform. You want to be good at your sport. You want to produce. You want to be the best at in your sport, volleyball, in serve, receive, and passing, and being outside hitters and that type of thing. But in hockey, truly my position was forward. And scoring goals in high school came easy. Scoring goals in college was hard. And so the pressure to perform was kind of great at every level. I think the difference for you all today is that there's film. And everything is videoed. You can watch it over again. It's played over again. You don't know when you're going to have to see it again. Sometimes coaches show it. You're the example. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes social media will play it for you. And you'll have to work through all of that. Pressure to perform is such a higher level because of video by far.
You didn't have film?
We had short bits of film, but again, it was on VHS tape. And so
it wasn't right away.
So in order to cut and splice it, right, and put it together for film the next day, usually it took at least 24 hours to produce that, where you guys can basically watch it on the bench and watch it over and over and over again. So you're always under a microscope. But then I think the probably the bigger piece is that if you get caught up in what other people think when you're watching that film, especially on social media, I think a lot of athletes today give in to watching the comments and reading them, and that starts to become a whole different pressure under itself if you put that on you or not. And so truly I think that's why professionals are needed in order to help kids through that. We probably will get into discussing that here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But same pressures to perform, but a little bit different.
Yeah. Because obviously social media was not a thing when you were in college or nothing like similar to that besides maybe making the paper.
Jada, right? Email just came out when I was a freshman in college.
So yeah, Instagram and TikTok were not really a thing yet.
No, not at all.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, that's good stuff. Okay, moving on to kind of your experience and how it shaped you into a person and parent you are today. How did your experience as a college athlete shape you? Like kind of how you parented us as athletes?
Tough question to answer.
A lot of things.
A lot of things, right? I think the biggest piece of being a former athlete, parent, is that you have to figure out that you're not the athlete anymore. And I think a lot of parents in this generation that were competitive at one level, maybe they weren't as competitive as they wanted to be. They actually live through their kids and try to will them or play for them. You'll hear them on the sidelines. You'll hear them yelling. I've tried hard not to do that and let you enjoy your experience along the way. Doesn't mean it's easy or hard. It just is what it is, right? I think the hardest part of parenting is that sometimes your kids have coaches that you know more than they do. And a lot of times you want to insert yourself into those relationships, but usually that doesn't go well. And so you just have to step back and let that play out. As well as if on any given year you're not playing as much as we think you should play, or playing too much to be able to step in and be like, let other kids play. That's a definite balance that you have to play that out. But what I do know is that you have to let your kids learn the sport, enjoy the sport for themselves, not because you enjoy the sport. So like Michael Jr., he's our oldest, 24 now, but he started out playing hockey when he was 8 to 10 years old because I played hockey. But he gravitated towards, he liked basketball, and I had to let him go and pursue basketball.
Did you ever play basketball?
I couldn't dribble and run at the same time. And I for
but
sure...
you could skate and
so much easier.
stick handle at
right?
the same time?
Two different things, Jada, right?
Right.
So allowing your kids the ability to learn and grow and love the sport because they're the ones that are playing it. So hopefully that helps.
Did you coach Michael?
When he was in hockey, I coached a little bit in football. But in basketball, I had to let him go and be coached by others because I didn't know the sport well enough.
Yeah.
And one thing, too, is I think being a parent-coach can only go so far. Some actually parents take their kids all the way through from when they're young on, and we'll coach them until the day they go to college. Tried not to do that in any way because I think it's healthy to have other perspectives, other coaches, even though you might have to learn some hard lessons along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Mom and I kind of experienced that a little bit.
Yeah, she coached early on in volleyball.
Yeah.
Right. Really never as a head coach, but she was an assistant coach along the way. I would say moms in general are more protective and want to control their daughters' experiences even more than dads and their boys.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what you got.
Well, that's good stuff, Dad.
You're welcome,
Good
Jada.
job. Good job. Okay, next question is, what's the proudest moment you've had both as a college athlete but now watching us kids play college sports?
I would say probably achieving your dreams, right? You start out as a kid and truly watching the generation before you, and you want to emulate them. So wherever you grow up, whatever sports you're watching, I grew up watching Badger sports. I grew up watching Badger hockey specifically, and I always wanted to be number 7 on the ice when I was a little kid that was playing for the Badgers. And when I had the opportunity to pursue that dream and then eventually be a part of that dream, you're like, I'm here now? Now what is that like? And truly it's nothing like I even thought it was going to be like.
Yeah.
Right? Until you're in it. Did I think I was going to, at one time, be the leading scorer of the team and play on the power play in hockey? I thought that, but then you arrive and you're like, well, maybe I have a different role, and then I had to reconcile that. But that didn't take away the joy of having the dream come true and being a part of that. And you're going to be able to experience that here in a couple months.
Less than
a couple
month-ish.
months when you're going to be at the field house and being a Badger. And so you say the proudest moments as part of the question is that Michael Jr. had that opportunity to play college football. He had the opportunity to be a part of the Badger football program as well as a couple others. And even though he didn't play as much as he wanted to, even though he had a handful of major surgeries on one knee, he was still a part of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's where you got to talk about overcoming the adversity at the same time, but being proud that you had the opportunity to be a Badger in our case. And so the proudest moments are, one, overcoming the adversity. Number 2 is being a part of the dream that you might have had as a little kid.
Yeah. I would just like to point out that none of those proudest moments had anything to do with points we scored, games we won, touchdowns that were made, goals that were made. Like, none of those things that he just talked about had anything to do with anything we did either on the field or on the court. And so I think that's really important for us athletes to remember, and then also any parents that are listening, is that the proudest moments are seeing your kids like succeed in what they do, but not anything to do with stats, because literally nothing you just talked about had anything to do with numbers.
Right. Well, I just had a flashback as you're saying that. And my freshman year at the University of Wisconsin, myself and my roommate, he was a goaltender and I was a forward. And you hear him a lot say about work hard, have fun, and be a good teammate.
Yeah.
And he was the starting goalie. And I was a redshirt freshman that year, so I was going to play a game. And I just had to watch every game but practice. And we'd go on the ice 30 minutes before every practice, and I would shoot 150 pucks on him alone. But that work hard was just as fun as the hour and a half practice we had. And then being a good teammate, after all the practice was over, we'd hang out in the locker room. We had a sauna, and we had some recovery in the weight room with the sports medicine trainer. And that being a good teammate and having fun along the way truly meant more after the fact than did we win on Friday and Saturday night, or did we score on the power play. Now, that doesn't mean we weren't striving to win championships, because we were one of the best teams in the country back then. But if you don't have the first three, the outcome will never be a championship.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. You always got to work hard, have fun, be a good teammate. That's his go-to saying. He tells me that like every day about if I'm like just struggling with things. He's like, well, as long as you work hard, have fun, and be a good teammate, you're set. So that's what I try to remember.
But over time, that being a good teammate isn't always the joyful kid. Isn't always the joyful teammate. Being a good teammate is sometimes calling your teammates out. Is something helping them become better than they normally would. Maybe they're not working as hard. So those are the tough conversations to have. But being a good teammate is your teammate's struggling, and you lift them up because they have a tough plate of life they're working through at that point. And I would say those individuals actually are more priceless than the true best athlete on the entire team, because if you don't have those solid teammates in the middle, again, you'll never win championships. So
yeah, it's good. You were that teammate?
I was that teammate.
All right, moving into some advice. Normally I end every episode with advice you would give your younger self, but I'm going to take a little different twist on it. First question being, what advice would you give parents with student athletes?
Let them navigate their own journey. If I would go back, I would have probably allowed you and Michael to participate in more sports, not just the ones that I played or your mom played, that let you pursue other things and see if you might have gravitated towards those. Now, you might end up in football and volleyball, which you did, but expose the next generation and your kids to as many activities as you can. The biggest piece is don't force your experience for their experience, right? So a lot of times parents, it starts to become their social life and their competitiveness and what they can post on social media, and they want the external validation that we have this perfect life, these perfect kids. Yeah. We win every club tournament. We get every ribbon. We won every game, and that just doesn't happen, right? So the advice I'm giving to them is don't take it too seriously, right? At the end of the day, sports are supposed to be fun. Yeah. Teach how to work hard. If you do work hard, you will have fun at the same time, and the outcomes will take care of it from themselves. I would say you ask about student athletes. This day and age is getting less student and more athlete, right?
Yeah.
So
we're basically pro athletes at the college level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are pro athletes, and I would say that is actually trickling down to club sports, where a lot of kids spend more time on their club sport activity than they do actually studying in the classroom.
Yeah.
and that's going to be greater and greater. So you got to keep perspective in being that student and the athlete, or it's a student or extracurricular activities, right? But even at the collegiate level, where some student athletes at the Power Fives are starting to get paid, it's being less student driven. And truly, your athletic experience is going to only take you so far.
Yeah.
And so my career after playing ended up working at the University of Wisconsin and in alumni relations for quite some time. And helping students transition to life after sport is probably the hardest thing you'll ever go through. Because your identity was tied to sport. Your identity was tied to signing autographs and now monetizing off of that. Well, once that's done, you don't have that to fall back on anymore.
Yeah.
So you have to recreate yourself in order to transition to life after. So if parents can help with that, and or if parents can help connect your kids with other people that can help you get there, so they don't have to do all the work, because it takes a village sometimes.
Yeah. I just talked to Sam last episode about finding your identity after sport, so that was a good touch. You didn't even know I did that.
I did not know that, right?
Yeah, he talked about how it's been a little tough. Like, he kind of experienced, like, a period of, like, sadness and just, like, confusion on, like, what do I do now? Because he has, like, so much time on his hands, and I think that's, like, I'm seeing that a lot with my class, especially because we're all seniors and we're graduating and all doing different things. And so, yeah, because if your whole life is your sport from the time you start, like, you don't know what to do after.
Right. Take it a step further. We had many focus groups on how to define transitioning to life after and what that looked like. And I don't know exactly what Dragonfly is all about at this point, but my guess is mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, all that type of holistic help. You don't know what somebody's working through. It could be one of those areas, it could be all of them. But what we found out is that most student athletes they have their schedule dictated for them from 5, 6, 7 years old on, and usually it's tied to the physical side. So once you transition to life after, you got to create your own workouts. You got to figure out, am I working out for myself? Am I working out for a sport? Am I going to train for something? Am I going to play another sport for fun? Am I going to keep being a club volleyball player at the adult level, right? And most former student athletes struggle for anywhere from a 6-month to a 2 to 5 year period of their physical activity, which leads to then, if there's inactivity, then it goes down the depression route and anxiety and that type of thing. So keeping that solid routine is probably the best advice I could give.
Yeah. So then moving to some advice you would give your college athlete self. So thinking, like, back when you were playing hockey at Wisconsin, what would you tell him?
Tell my teammates, right? Depending on where you go to school, the campus life can sometimes take over, and you don't know it at the time, but you start to get sucked into more campus life than really what you're there for, right? And I say that because, for instance, a place like the University of Wisconsin, you have some unbelievable spots on campus that you can go, and the social life accordingly in the summers in Madison, and the ability to get pulled into destructive behavior.
Yeah.
That basically destroys all the work you put in during the week, per se. And then, say if you go out on a Friday, Saturday night, you won't recover until Wednesday, and then you're already behind. And I truly think that we would have been so much better if we could have controlled our social life and kept that in check, at least figured it out during the season to say, no, this is the rules we're going to live by. This is going to be the team culture. Because you can work hard, have fun, and be a good teammate. But if it's too much fun, that is outside your sport, that's just not going to lead you to be very successful. And I think some of our teams weren't as successful, and I know I wasn't as successful as a player because once my identity was starting to be lost in sport, because I was that third, fourth line, sometimes didn't play player, and so then you found your worth from your social life,
Yeah.
or from when I was doing Mike on the Mic, and that became my whole central focus. I spent more time doing stuff like this than I was working on my craft of the game.
Yeah.
So it's keep that balance. The second piece is find a group that can keep you accountable. It could be a teammate. It could be a roommate. It could be a support staff that keeps you accountable to live and become your best self. And a lot of institutions like the University of Wisconsin, or where you came from, which is Northern Illinois, has phenomenal support staff.
Yeah.
And you just have to find those support staff. And if you need to find them at a younger age, like in high school, I think that's where the Dragonflies of the world are starting to come into people's lives to offer that. And I know you offer that through Jada Ray Media the best you can. But find your people along the way.
That was good, Dad. That was a lot. I knew you would have a lot to say, so.
Were you nervous?
What? About
That
you
I wouldn't have a lot to say?
No. Normally I have to, like, give my 2 cents on different things, but I knew that you would have a lot of things to say, so I kind of just let you talk, but.
Well, let's flip the script real quick.
Oh, okay.
Let's say, as your parent, what could I have done different?
Oh.
Or Mom done different to help you and Michael from a young age on?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for this.
She wasn't. But Mike on the Mic just flipped the script on Jada Ray Media.
I would say, kind of like what you said, kind of just let us figure it out. I think maybe at certain times, because like you guys were athletes and you both were coaches, like it was hard for you to like not want to step in. And I think maybe growing up, like we needed to figure things out sooner on our own to be able to then figure it out in like later dates. But yeah, that's really the only thing. I mean, you already said that, so it's just tough. Like, I'm gonna go through the same thing once I'm a parent someday, because I know everything that my kids will be going through, so it'll just be weird. But yeah, it's hard not to get involved like that.
Right.
I don't know.
True.
Well, thanks for asking me my own question on my own podcast. But yeah, that's really all I have. So, thanks for coming on today.
You're totally welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Right. Thanks for coming in and joining us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys learned some new things about myself, but also my dad. He's an amazing human being, so follow him on his Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. That's like all he's got. So,
your age doesn't use Facebook anymore.
I don't.
Or if you ever did use it.
I said follow you on Facebook, not me. Anyways.
Well, that means those parents are out there on Facebook.
Yeah. Parents follow him. Whatever. Get connected.
Gotcha.
Ask him questions if you need. But that is all I have today. You guys can listen to the full episode on Spotify and watch the full episode on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube, and Facebook. And I will have all of those in the descriptions and comments below. So don't worry, you'll be able to find us if you have any questions. Don't hesitate to reach out via Instagram DM or email, because we will always be free to chat if you need it. So yeah, thanks, Dad, for coming on.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.